What is up, guys? Welcome to another vlog. We're currently on week 8 in terms of the competition prep. So in this week's video, I want to share with you guys what a 2,850 calorie meal plan looks like, what I'm eating throughout the day during my competition prep, as well as how I managed to lose 10 kilos in 8 weeks simply using one meal plan. The tips, the strategies, the structure of it all. We're going to go through all of it in this video, so hope you guys enjoy. First meal of the day, I've got a bowl of oats. So these are quick oats. For me, I find the mixability is better when I'm mixing just a few of these ingredients together. It just feels very warm and just soothing for the soul. So quick oats, bought them organic as well. Better buy organic, just pay $1.50 extra. Got blueberries, 150 grams. Got cinnamon, ABC spread, which is almond, Brazil nuts, and cashews. So you're just getting a mixture of different nutrients by mixing different nut butters, and I believe that is it. Oh, and a scoop of whey protein. Of course, I can't forget the staples. Protein equals gains. Sometimes I do mix a little bit of bee pollen in here. Bee pollen for the extra B vitamins. So B vitamins for energy, helping with gut health, and that's basically it. And yeah, not too sure if I already said it, but a pinch of salt. And that's my first meal of the day, just to go after life and just crush it. So the first dish that I'm preparing is a peri-peri seasoned chicken with mashed and vegetables. So I alternate, either have this at lunch or dinner. First off, I'm peeling potatoes in bulk. Notice that I'm dividing it by 7 days. So this is just going to give me the portion control over the span of 7 days. Weighing them up, chopping them up, putting them in a pot, and they're good to go. Waiting for it to get boiled, and it's just an easy option, you know, to reheat mashed potatoes. That tastes pretty good, as opposed to, let's just say, baked potatoes. It just doesn't have that same feel. I'm then adding some salt, some butter, almond milk, and then I'm just mashing it all up. Moving on to the chicken. Again, adding some lemon juice, different types of seasoning, adding paprika, chili flakes, and sriracha sauce. Just going to give us that kick and spice. Adding some sugar as well with some olive oil. So I'm just going to let this marinate for at least half an hour to at least an hour, making sure, of course, I mash all the flavor in. We cannot forget that. Adding that last touch of garlic cloves, and it's pretty much good to go. Cook until the water is almost dissolved. I find that it's not as dry as if you were to cook it all the way through. Lastly, I'm preparing some green beans. Make sure I remove the stems, then chop them in half. Add them in a pot of boiling water, and it's pretty much good to go. I'll cook them to a point where it's got a bit of a crunch to it, so it's a little bit on the raw side. For my lunch and dinner alternative, I have made sweet potato, peri-peri chicken marinade with a serving of greens. Now, because I'm using chicken breast as opposed to chicken thighs, when you marinate anything with chicken thighs, it's so much more juicier just because of it having a higher fat content. So when I find the chicken too bland or boring, I prepare some sort of like dip that's pretty healthy. So for this one, I made a chili sauce, a chili dip, whatever you want to call it. It's got Greek yogurt, it's got sriracha chili, a tablespoon of lemon, and some parsley and salt. And that gives me that little bit of that zesty kick. So in that way, it's not boring chicken. As I progress in the competition, inevitably everything's going to get bland. And yeah, no sauce, no ketchup. Just sauce. So that's my dinner and lunch alternative. Time to chow down. Next up, we've got turkey chili bean mix. So I'm just going to alternate this between lunch and dinner. First up, I'm just going to grab 60 grams of uncooked rice, multiply by 7, which is just going to give me the portion control over 7 days across the week. I'm then adding 60 grams of bone broth, adding it into the rice while the water is hot and boiling. This is just going to cook through within the rice, and it's just going to provide extra collagen, good for gut health, and just good for overall skin. I'm then adding some vegetables, onions, capsicum, and carrot, adding 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil onto the pan, and then I'm mixing all the veggies within the pan. Adding 2 cans of soaked kidney beans, which is going to give me 500 grams. Once the vegetables are cooked, I then add the kidney beans as well as the mince, and I just mix it all up, cooking it at a medium heat. Next up, I'm adding 4 garlic cloves once the meat is browned. I then add some seasoning, paprika, cumin, oregano, chili powder, and a cube of vegetable stock. Making sure I'm mixing all that flavor in before chucking in 3 cans of diced tomatoes. And then as a final touch, I'm just adding some lemon juice for that extra zestiness. And lastly, preparing the greens, chopping ends of the broccolini and asparagus, chucking them in a pot of hot water and cooking them to a point where it's just slightly on the crunchy side. One of the next meals I'll be eating is, I'll be alternating this either as a lunch or a dinner option. So this is turkey chili bean mince with a serving of collagen bone broth rice and a serving of greens, which is just asparagus and broccolini. I would actually eat this during my lifestyle prep, to be honest with you. I'll just be adding a little bit more flavor, a bit more calories, such as your cheeses, probably go a little bit more hard on the sauces, and yeah, but this is a really good meal that makes me content, especially during competition prep, just because there's a lot of volume. Adding in the beans in the mix is just going to help, keep me full for longer due to the fiber and carb intake. Rice, pretty staple. Greens, has to be in your plate. Turkey ham egg skillet. This would have to be one of my favorite breakfast or snack options. First off, grab half a zucchini, 2 spring onion stems, 60 grams of turkey ham, click your fingers, and it should be done just like that. Adding 3 grams of butter to the pan, making sure it gets melted within. Then add your ingredients. I then add 150 grams of boiled butternut pumpkin, add them into the microwave, heat it up. While the vegetables are cooking, make sure it's cooked to a brown color before adding in the egg, and then I scramble them based on my favorite consistency. A little bit runny on that side. And for the last touch, I'm just spicing it up and adding tomato relish as my topping. The last meal of the day, I prepared scrambled eggs with a serving of butternut pumpkin. I chose butternut pumpkin specifically just because it's half the amount of calories compared to sweet potato. So I'm getting a better bang for my buck in terms of adding more volume. I'm adding in more mixed vegetables in the mix. I'll usually add tomato and capsicum as well, but since I had nothing left in the fridge, this had to do. I spiced it up some salt, pepper, parsley, and then I topped it off with tomato relish just for that little bit of a, flavorgasm. So that would be the last meal of the day. So my last remaining calories, I save it on a snack, either some dark chocolate or I bake some goodies. So what I prepared for you guys today is a healthy baked chocolate brownie. Sick! These are basically just accounted for in terms of how much calories there are per slice. So I know how much I'm getting. It's gluten-free, so I know it's got no wheats, which can promote an inflammatory response, especially if it's not organic or a pre-digested fermented source of wheat. So I'm staying away from wheat the whole competition until I reach that pit stop in my first competition. That's when I'm going to refeed and treat myself to some pizza or burger. So that's been on my mind for the first 4 weeks of this competition prep. The remaining calories, I would add it towards almond milk in my coffees and add a little bit more vegetables just to boost up the volume. So give me that increase of satiety feeling like that I'm fuller, as opposed to leaving me hungry. So that's the benefits of adding more vegetables on your plate. Increases the volume, meaning that you're eating more and making you feel more fuller. So that's that. Now I'll give you guys the secret in terms of what are the 4 points that you should be looking into in terms of dieting and how to effectively lose weight with ease. So that's that. Next, I'll cover 4 tips and strategies on how you can lose weight effectively without having to burn yourself mentally and establish a bad relationship with food, training, and dieting in general. So these are my 4 tips that is just going to help you succeed once you learn the basics and incorporate it in your everyday life. So let's go. So here it is. My secret in terms of how I managed to lose 10 kilos in 8 weeks simply using one meal plan. A lot of us get this wrong when we first start dieting. We kind of overcomplicate it and we kind of put all this pressure on ourselves thinking that it's not possible, that we're going to be fat forever, or dieting, it just doesn't work. We just start developing unhealthy relationships because of our expectation of not hitting the outcome that we want. It's quite simple once we get the hang of it. It's only complex at the beginning because we don't have enough information, we don't have the blueprint, and we simply just keep second guessing ourselves. So here are my tips and strategies of how I managed to lose 10 kilos in 8 weeks. Number 1, know your macros. So this is the foundation of really setting you up for success. So we all know that in order for you to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit, right? Consume less than your body is burning. But even beforehand, you want to establish a healthy metabolism by frequently eating an abundance of foods, especially if it's nutrient-dense foods, whole foods, such as your lean proteins, your fish, your chicken, your turkey, your beef, any types of vegetable proteins, a variety of a different color scheme of vegetables and fruits, as well as a mixed palette of starchy carbs, your potatoes, rice, quinoa, and millet. Once you do this, you allow your body to be in a balanced state. You're in a more calmer, relaxed state. So whatever the goal is from there, if it's to lose weight, you're already in a good position because of you nourishing the body. So not only are you in a good position of dieting, but you've established a good habit of not being afraid to eat more. And this is where a lot of people shy away from, because of when they feel like they have to eat more, they feel like they're gonna get fat. But essentially, if you're eating the right foods, then your body is gonna be so full because of the fiber content, because of the nutrient content. If you were to eat an abundance of processed and manufactured foods, you can keep eating that. Such as if you were to keep ordering burgers, fries, pizza, ice cream, you will just overshoot your calories because of the carbs and fat ratio that those foods contain, as opposed to the minimal protein intake that it does have. So you want to know your macros in terms of how much protein, carbs, and fats you should be eating, but you also should be establishing a good relationship of food, of figuring out what your maintenance is and being consistent with that over a period of 2 to 4 weeks. So then when you want to start dieting, you're in a good position because you've got a healthy baseline. For those who don't know how to calculate your macros, I'm sending out a free ebook. Comment below macros and I'll send you guys a copy of how to do that and how to diet in accordance to reach your goals in fat loss and as well as muscle building. Number 2 is consistency. This is by far one of the most important ones. Once we've established a good base of eating calories in a surplus, eating a variety of nutrient abundant foods, and knowing where our macros is, the next step is being consistent of going on a diet. If our goal is to lose weight, we have to know the numbers daily and hit those targets on a daily basis to hit our weekly goals. Where a lot of us go wrong is we become weekend warriors. We don't take into consideration comfort foods, alcohol, or we just simply take our foot off the gas and we just overindulge and splurge on the weekend. We may be great Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday, but when it comes to the weekend, we let loose. So this is where a lot of people go wrong, and they ask themselves the question, why aren't I losing any weight? It's because you haven't catered in these hidden calories and you've just simply lost control. When you're in control, you know exactly what conscious choices you should make in order for you to step closer to your end goal. If it's to lose weight, if it's to build muscle, more specifically to lose weight, right? Because this is the title of the video. Leading on to point number 3 is managing your stresses. So stress is a silent killer, especially if you don't have a good relationship with it. Different examples of stress: you've got work stress, financial stress, dieting and nutrition is a form of stress, relationship stress. Those are probably the key areas of stress that you should be looking into your life. So let's say, for example, we're focusing on dieting. Since I'm on a bodybuilding competition prep, I'm staying away from foods that may cause an inflammatory response. Such examples could be bread, processed and manufactured foods that are packed with preservatives and additives. It's just not gonna agree with my stomach, and it's just gonna make me hold more water, causing an inflammation response. When it comes to being consistent with your diet, and I know a lot of people aren't gonna be focusing on trying to maintain a bodybuilding diet. It's completely impossible unless you choose to have that lifestyle. How you can factor in a sustainable way to lose weight is incorporating the 80-20 rule of eating 80% of the time nutrient dense whole foods, and then 20% of the time factoring and catering those comfort foods that you do like to eat. So how that would look like is, if there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner times 7, we want to be eating 18 or 19 of those meals as those clean, nutrient dense, abundant foods, and 2 or 3 of those meals as those comfort foods. So you can incorporate burgers, you can incorporate pizza, you can incorporate fish and chips. As long as you have factored and catered that in to your nutrition plan and know roughly what the calories are, you're simply winning because you are in control. So whole foods that can vary from your vegetables, your fruits, all colors of the rainbow, different variations of proteins such as your fish, your chicken, your beef, different types of pork and lamb, and you've got your starchy carbs varying from quinoa, rice, potatoes, millet, and sourdough or spelt bread. I prefer a spelt or a sourdough bread just because it's fermented, meaning that it's pre-digested gluten, so it'll be a lot easier for your gut to digest. The mental stresses of your life, this is where sometimes when we have too much on our plate, when we're worrying too much about life itself, could be financial pressure, it could be relationship stress, it could be work-related stress. When we don't have enough knowledge in how we can deal and cope with our stresses, then our health is going to be compromised. So this is where it's really important to have a great mental framework and how you can really overcome this. So seeking additional support is not a bad thing in terms of seeking a life coach, a psychologist, a good friend that you may look up to that may have the result that you want in your life. By simply getting over yourself and asking good, valuable questions, you're gonna find good, valuable results that's gonna help boost the quality of your life because you're seeking, right? If you're always down in the rut, head hung low, feeling like you're this helpless victim, then you're not gonna get anywhere in life because you're simply just thinking that this isn't gonna get any better and this is your fault, that you've managed to be in this situation and you can't find a way out. So you have to realize that the mindset that created the problem can't be the same mindset to find a solution. So you have to get over yourself. So you have to find new possible outlets in finding the result that you do want. Most of the time, the problems that we're dealing with aren't really problems necessarily. It's just us creating the problem of us not reaching an expectation or an ideal in terms of where we're currently at right now. So get clear with your stresses, get clear with your worries. What is the expectation that you want to hit? What is the ideal situation that you want to be that you're not currently in? And is it a now thing or is it a later thing? Does it have to be solved urgently or can it be solved later? Is it out of my control or is it in my control? What is in my control? What can I do next to help me overcome this situation and find myself in a better place? Can I seek support and help with this? Who may have the result that I'm looking for? These are simple questions you can ask yourself in terms of consciously communicating with yourself, of really fine-tuning and navigating, separating yourself from the emotion and finding a logical answer in terms of seeking for the response. You have to be cool, calm, collected with this because if you're not, then most likely you're gonna be oscillating and keep going in circles with dealing with the same problem time and time again. So the last point that I wanted to address is good gut health. So gut health, it's probably not spoken highly of in the fitness community just because we're always focusing on being in a calorie deficit. Since it is point number one, that is the base, that is the foundation. However, sometimes later down the track, especially as we age and get older, things just start to deteriorate. Muscle bone mass deteriorates, our skin starts sagging, stomach acid becomes lower as we age. So we have to really look ahead in terms of future predictions and really factor in how we're showing up in life and what are we doing on a regular basis that's producing the current results that we have? And is it changing? Is it improving? Or is it getting worse? In traditional Chinese medicine, the emotion that influences the gut is stress and worry. So just as I mentioned previously, if you're not eating the right foods, it could be causing you stress. If your mental perception of life isn't incongruent in terms of you feeling more joy and fulfillment on a day-to-day basis, and you're filled with stress, worry, and anxiety on a regular basis, then something has to change in terms of shifting your perception. So when you focus on building good gut health, you're teaching the body to digest, absorb, and utilize nutrient uptake in the body more efficiently, meaning that you're gonna be utilizing and absorbing the foods that you're eating and minimize any waste product in the body. Think about it. Let's just say if we keep putting in garbage in, such as prioritizing our main focus on eating comfort foods, these processed and manufactured foods that our body just can't recognize as real foods because it's not. Preservatives, what does that mean? It means that it's gonna have a long shelf life. It's gonna be stuck there for a while. So if our body can't recognize that, then most likely it's gonna be sitting in one part of our body, in the stomach, in the intestines, and eventually when garbage isn't attended to, think about you leaving the garbage in your home for, let's just say 2 weeks. It's gonna start stinking and it's gonna start rotting and it's gonna be really, really toxic. This is where I always redirect of asking myself the question, am I eating 80% of the time rich, nutrient-dense foods? And am I factoring 20% of those comfort foods? That ratio is the golden rule. It's helped me stay in control of my weight the entire time and have an enjoyable lifestyle. Making sure that you incorporate rich fermentable foods such as rich cultured probiotic yogurt. You've got your kefir, you've got sauerkraut, you've got kimchi. Incorporate one of these foods and see how you feel in the next couple of days. Are you feeling more energized? Is your digestion improving? Are you taking solid poops? If the answer is no, and it's causing stress, it's causing diarrhea, bloating, heavy gas that it really smells, then most likely there could be a food sensitivity or an allergy present. Sometimes incorporating one food isn't necessarily a trigger, but where we are right now in terms of our starting base of our overall gut microbiome. It's fine tuning, it's really understanding what foods you're eating on a regular basis and seeing what time of the day are you feeling stressed, fatigued, poop isn't solid, bloating. Assess what time of the day, after which meal did you feel these symptoms and what could be causing that and what could be causing that stress and inflammation response. For a really good accurate test in terms of seeing how your gut microbiome is performing, I would recommend doing a stool test. It's quite expensive because it is quite expensive, but you'll get huge amount of information and data in terms of realizing how your gut microbiome is performing, how much good gut bacteria you have, how much stomach acid you have present, and if there's any signs of parasites, viruses, or bad bacteria that's overpopulating in your body that's preventing you from having more energy, improving your digestion, and helping you speed up the fat loss process. So that is a wrap. Thank you all for tuning in. So these are the 4 steps that I highly encourage you guys, if you want to speed up the process in you losing fat and being in absolute control in your overall health and well-being, really understand macro counting. Start developing a healthy relationship with eating more. Be consistent with your goals. Be consistent with the foods that you choose throughout the day. Manage your stresses. Optimize the 80-20 rule of eating 80% of the time nutrient dense foods, and then 20% of the time incorporating your favorite comfort foods. And then last but not least, really focusing on prioritizing good gut health. So again, this goes in hand with understanding the choices you make around food and then incorporating more rich fermentable foods, and then paying attention in how your body responds after each and every meal. What are the symptoms? Bloating, gas, diarrhea? If that's the case, assess what time of the day, after which meal, and then go from there. If you want more information, I recommend you guys do a stool test. I did one at the start of the year and it just blew my mind in terms of how much information I had and what next steps I needed to take to initiate better health. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you found this video helpful. I'll catch you in the next vlog.